This sprinting mechanics breakdown is going to be on Gout Gout, the Australian sprinting phenom who just beat Usain Bolt's record. When he was 16 in the 200-meter dash, he ran a 20.60, where Usain Bolt ran a 20.61. He's also run a 10.2 in the 100-meter. There's a lot of interesting things about him. He's very tall, just like Usain Bolt, so he's got a lot of comparisons to him. And I had to do some research to figure out his height, so I had to compare to Odie Jordan here, and he's definitely taller than Odie Jordan by a good amount. And then I also compared that to Wiley here, who is about 6'1", and they looked like they were about the same height. I know we're at a bit of a slant here, so it seems like that's making it so he's taller. I would say that Gout Gout's probably about 6'3". Now, to get into his mechanics, I mean, I do think there's obviously a lot of potential here just because of his size and his speed. He's already running 10.2 at 16 years old. That's really impressive. There are a lot of athletes that are really young that are running some great time. Christian Miller being another one who is 18. He was running sub 10. And so there's some great up-and-coming sprinters. But there are some things that I think are also a bit concerning with Gout Gout. And I don't know exactly how he is being coached or how he's getting trained. When you're looking at his strike here, he's pretty good with his right foot and how he's striking the ground. He's just really lacking a lot of range of motion on the left side. Like we could see with Wilaza here, really good positioning with his foot, right? A lot of great things that he's doing with the foot, with the leg in general, where we can see with Gout, he's much more outside with his foot and he turns a ton. He turns so much into external rotation here that he actually turns back a little bit inwards, not on that one in particular, but on some of these he'll turn back inwards. But that's just so much. Like this one, you could see he's turning out so much that he kind of came back in a little bit more prior to foot strike. And so point is, that's just a ton of external rotation in the hip and not very much internal rotation there. Right? It has good hip flexion, but not very much internal rotation, where a healthy internal rotation again would be with Wilaza here. Notice where his knee is compared to his hip. That's a good position to be able to get into, and he does a pretty good job on both sides. He's much more symmetrical from one side to the other. I love that landing position. Really, really good there. But with Gout, even on the right side, he's not great. That's still a pretty good position. It's pretty stable. A lot of good things there. But on the left, just really turned out there and definitely needs to be able to work on that. I don't love the hand position either. I think he's a little bit too tight in the upper body as he gets going. Like here, he looks a lot better, a lot more loose, really good when he gets to his top speed. But we still are dealing with that same type of thing with his turnout. Like he's going to have to work on what he's doing as he's turning out in his leg in order to be able to run those really elite times. Now, his start is pretty good. He's a little bit more turned out on the right side there with the start. Again, not very much internal rotation, not very much foot drive. And so that is something that we want to be able to consider when it comes to the acceleration mechanics. I think he's much better with the hands in this particular video. I think he gets up very well. I love the initial reaction, how he really is getting those hips through. He does a good job of getting that foot down, very stable in the foot as he's landing. So there's some things that he could definitely build off of. It's just that right foot not in a great spot right there. Needs to be able to get that toe to be facing more straight ahead. And it doesn't need to be a ton, but there's just some of these mechanics, some of these things that we've seen over and over and over by the top athletes that just show the difference between what it is running a 9.7 in comparison to a 10.2, right? Like there's a lot of really small things that go into it. And so he has the speed, he has the potential. I mean, there's a lot that reminds me of like a Arian Knighton here, right? Where it's like a couple years ago, everyone was talking about, oh, this is going to be the next Usain Bolt. He's so fast, he's going to be able to beat all these records, blah, blah, blah. And he's stayed pretty stagnant since he's kind of came into the limelight going into the 2020 Olympics. And so not to say that Gout Gout's going to be in that same category, just to remind people that it's not a guarantee that if you run great times, right? Because Arian Knighton beat some of Usain Bolt's records. Also, the idea and the concept that it's hard to be able to get down into these high-level times. And so just because he's young and doing some great things doesn't mean that he's going to be able to automatically run 9.5 or, sub 19.2 in the 200. So it's just one of those things where I think there's still a lot of things that need to get cleaned up within the mechanics. There's definitely potential there. He's obviously really strong. He's really long. He opens up really well. Like look at how much range he has. He's very loose when he's running, but there's still a lot of things to be able to work on. I think his hands here, his arms, he's not getting very much forward motion in the arms. I think you could definitely work on that pullback like we talked about in the foot strike, right? Make it so there's more similarities between the right and the left. You don't want to be so far turned out on one side in comparison to the other side. Just needs to be a lot more clean with the sprinting mechanics. I mean, the fact that he's able to just easily extend the leg and get that turnover is just crazy. It's almost too much length, I would say. But again, he ran 10.2, so it's not like he's doing things that are wrong. It's just how can we pinpoint things that are going to help him continue to improve, continue to develop as a sprinter, make it so he can get higher level speeds. And I think that just working on the front side mechanics, working on how he's bringing the leg through is going to be important, as well as what he's doing within the hands to make it so he's able to get some consistency there. We can see a big difference between what he's doing here in the 200. This was a couple weeks ago in comparison to what he was doing in the 100. Here, this is closer to like 5 months ago. So definitely some improvements that have happened, but we're also seeing a little bit more turnout within that left leg in comparison to when he was running the 100 here. He looks pretty straight with that left leg. Still probably lacking the internal rotation of the hip, but it looks like that foot isn't turned out as much. Hard to tell for sure, though. And excited to continue to follow him. If you guys want to check out some of the other breakdowns I've done, I just recently did a breakdown on Bayanda Walaza that I'll leave here, as well as a video to help you in improving your speed. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you soon.